Aroma has never been a good deck, but they've just got some new support, which is actually quite good. So what I want to do in this video is I want to go over the 5 new cards that were announced 2 days ago, and then I'm going to show you a quick 1.5 card combo you can do in pure Aroma. Now, these cards are probably better in some form of like Rickus and Avalon builds, but if you want to see those sort of combos, well, then you should probably go and Sunseed Jess, because she's already got the video up, and she obviously has a much better understanding of how to play that deck than I do. So I'm going to look at pure. I was also trying to look at Predaplant, but that quite didn't work out. So we're looking at Pure today. There's 5 new cards to talk about, 3 in the main deck and 2 in the extra deck. We're going to start with the most important one, and that is Aroma Lilith Rosalina. This is a level 1 plant tuner with 0 attack and 0 defense, and you only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. Quick effect, you can discard this card and target a Aroma monster you control, gain life points equal to half of its attack. Fantastic, it's a way of gaining life points in your opponent's turn to trigger your Aroma cards to activate their disruption effects. Very important to have this. We did have this already in Aroma Seraphi Angelica, but having a second one is not an issue at all. But it's the second effect which is the most important. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon 1 non-tuner Aroma monster from your deck, but for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon monsters except for plant monsters. This is important because this is a really good starter. Aroma has some really interesting cards, especially Jasmine, which is probably the most powerful Link 2 monster that is still legal, potentially. SP Little Knight's probably a little bit stronger, but this card's absolutely crazy, and this gives you a way of triggering it turn 1. So you can normal summon Rosalina, and you can special summon Laurel from the deck since it's a non-tuner, link into a copy of Jasmine, and Laurel, when it is sent to the graveyard, increases your life points by 500, which triggers Jasmine to search for any plant monster. So this is an exceptional starter for Aroma, and let's see what we can do with it. So we'll go on to the rest of the cards. We have Aroma Blends. This is a normal spell card, and it has 2 effects. You can discard 1 card from your hand and place either Humid Winds, Blessed Winds, or Dried Winds from your hand or deck face up in your spell and trap zone. This is really good because Dried Winds is interruption. If you gain life points, you get to pop, and if your life points are 3,000 higher than your opponent's, you can pay until you have the same amount of life points and pop monsters your opponent controls whose attack equal or is less than the combined attack of what you pay. Pretty strong removal effect. We have Blessed Winds, which allows you to either send a plant from hand or face up field to the graveyard and gain 500, shuffle a plant from graveyard into the deck and gain 500, or you could pay 1,000 life points and special an Aroma from your graveyard. So you could set this as an extender, which is quite cool. And we also have Humid Winds, which has 2 effects where you can pay 1,000 life points and add an Aroma monster from deck to your hand, so it's Rota, and it also allows you to, if your life points are lower than your opponent's, gain 500 life points. So you can activate this, discard a card, place any of these, and get all of their powerful effects, which is quite cool. The next effect is you can banish this card from your graveyard, banish monsters from your hand or field as fusion material for a fusion summon. I guess the translation of this card didn't quite work. If you have more life points than your opponent, you can also banish plant monsters from your graveyard. So this will allow us to make the new Aroma Lilith Magnolia, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but it also allows you to make Dragostapelia, which is quite cool, because you can fusion summon any plant monster with this card. So this both gets you your traps and allows you to fusion summon, which is cool. The next new card is Aroma Healing. This card's quite good. It says you can only use 1 effect of this card's name once per turn. You can gain life points equal to the number of Aroma monsters you control times 1,000. So if you have like 4 Aroma cards in your field, gain 4,000. That's pretty good. You could also banish this card from your graveyard and target one Aroma monster in your graveyard, special summon it but banish it with these fields, then gain 500 life points, gain spelled incorrectly. So this is a really good card as well. It's going to allow you to special summon from your graveyard if it's in the graveyard, and you also just get to gain life points. It's really cool. It is searchable off of the link, which we'll talk about in a second. So this is why when you're playing 1, you're probably just going to be searching this if you happen to open Aroma Blend, which is typically your search target. We'll then get into the Link monster. This is a Link 3. It requires 2+ plant monsters, and you only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is special summoned, I'm pretty sure it's only if it's Link summoned, but I could be wrong, you can add 1 Aroma card from your deck to your hand. This is how we are getting to our Aroma Blend. The second effect is if you gain life points, even during the damage step, you can special summon up to 3 Aroma monsters from your hand to zones this card points to. An exceptional effect, but the problem is it special summons from hand, and there's not too many great ways of getting them into the hand, especially to be able to get them into the hand and then trigger the effect to gain life points. So this effect is probably only going to come up for like 1 or 2 monsters, but It's still a good effect. The third effect is you contribute one monster this card points to, then target one card in the field, banish it, and if you do, gain 1,000 life points. Three really good effects, but I'm really upset that this effect is not a quick effect like you use in your opponent's turn, because Aroma struggles with getting interruptions on the board, and this being a quick effect would have solved a lot of those problems. The final card we need to talk about is Aroma Lilith Magnolia, which is a fusion monster. It requires an aroma monster and one plant monster. While your life points are higher than your opponent's, plant monsters you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Once per turn, you can pay 2,000 life points, banish cards in the field equal to the total number of humid winds, dried winds, and blessed winds you control, which are the trap cards we talked about earlier. And the third effect is once per turn, if you gain life points, even during the damage step, you can make all plant monsters currently gain attack. All plant monsters you currently control, they should say, gain attack equal to the amount of life points gained until the end of this turn. So this card's a little bit mid, because again, this effect is not a quick effect. This effect definitely could have been a quick effect, because it's not that strong, and you're paying 2,000 life points, which turns off the protection effect. But this card's okay. It's really easy to get out because we have Aroma Blend, which is we want to be weaving into our combos anyway, and just by banishing it and using the cards in graveyard, we get to summon it for free. The important effect here is the effect that protects your monsters being destroyed by your opponent's card effects, because if you combine that with the Synchro 7, which we've had for a while, this card says while your life points are higher than your opponent cannot target plant monsters you control with card effects. So by having both of these on the field, you essentially turn all of your monsters into little dragoons, kind of. Like, they can't be targeted and they can't be destroyed, which makes them very hard to out. Then when you remember, the fusion allows you to increase your monster's attack by life points gained, and that Aroma Angelica allows you to increase your life points by the attack of a monster in your graveyard as a quick effect. These monsters get very big very quickly and are very difficult to remove, and that's essentially going to be the game plan for Aroma. We'll quickly talk about the other cards I haven't mentioned. So we talked about Angelica. You get to gain life points by quick effect targeting a Aroma in your graveyard. It can also special summon itself back if you have high life points to your opponent and you control an Aroma monster, and it is a level 1 tuner, which is cool. Jasmine gives you an extra normal summon if your life points are higher than your opponent's, and also if you gain life points while it's on the field, you get to draw a card. Quite cool. Laurel not only gains life points when it's sent from field to graveyard, but it can also special summon itself if your life points are higher than your opponent's. Marjam, I don't think that's how you're supposed to pronounce that. While your life points are higher, you take no battle damage from attacks involving plant monsters. Kind of cool. And when a plant monster you control is destroyed by battle, you can special summon this card from your hand and gain 500 life points. And also has, if you gain life points, target cards in your opponent's graveyard up to the number of Aroma monsters you control, banish them. So this could be quite good against graveyard-reliant decks. If you, like, let's say Tyr mills something like an Agido and they're about to use the effect, you can activate the effect of something that is going to increase your life points, and then the Agido will resolve. This will trigger in the new chain, and you'll get to just banish cards out of your opponent's graveyard, which is quite cool. The next one's Kanega. This is a way of targeting a spell trap and returning it to the hand when you gain life points. Kind of okay. This could out some floodgates, which is why it's in here. There's a bunch I'm not playing because most of the Aroma cards aren't that good. So this is the monster lineup. It's not a lot of them because we've not got a lot of monsters. We're playing small bulk. We really want to see the Rosalina, and we are playing one copy of the Fairy Dragon as the small web bridge. This can't bridge all of the Aroma monsters, but it can bridge all of the hand traps, and it can bridge some of the Aroma monsters. It has 0 attack, which is the only thing it shares with Rosalina, and since it is a light with 0 attack, it also bridges the hand traps, and it also has an effect that gains life points, so if you draw it, it could come up. We're playing a small Naturia package of 1 Camilla, 1 Blessing, 1 Sacred Tree, and 1 Bamboo Shoot. You can get the extra normal summon off of Jasmine, which means if you happen to open Bamboo Shoot or one of your other search targets throughout the combo, you can search Bamboo Shoot and tribute it over a Camilla to stop your opponent from activating any spells or traps. I'm not doing that in the combo I'm showing today, mostly because I want to do like a 1.5 card combo, not like a 2.5 card combo. What else are we playing? Bunch of hand traps, Call with a Grave, 1 for 1 since our starter is level 1. We've got 1 Aroma Garden. This is the field spell for the deck. It is also searchable off of the link like Blend is. Essentially, once per turn, you can gain 500 life points. And if something gets destroyed, you can gain 1,000 life points. kind of cool. It doesn't really do all that much. It's probably worth playing because it's a way of gaining life points which triggers your card's effects. I don't know, you could maybe cut this. Aroma Gardening essentially says if you normal or special summon an Aroma, you get to gain 1,000 life points, and when your opponent declares an attack where you have less life points than your opponent, you get to summon a Aroma from the deck. So this is quite a cool card, but on its own it doesn't really do all that much. I think that's everything we need to talk about. I guess we could talk about a little bit more in the extra deck. We're playing a Bengal Ouncer because it's a generic plant, like, interaction sort of card. The Drexapelio, as I mentioned earlier, you can summon off of the Aroma Blend. And then we're playing some other synchro monsters, like Circle of Fairies gives you an extra normal summon, and Empress can special summon something big back in defense to potentially go for a link play, I guess. I don't know. We'll go into the combo, and this is going to be Aroma Lilith Rosalina plus a discard. So we're going to start by, if it works, normal summoning Rosalina and activating the effect to special summon a non-tuner Aroma from the deck, and we're going to summon Laurel. From here, we're going to link off our Laurel and our Rosalina to go into a copy of Jasmine. From here, we can trigger Laurel's effect to gain 500 life points and trigger the effect of Jasmine to search for another copy of Laurel. Since we have higher life points than our opponent, we can special summon the Laurel and tribute it to special summon a copy of Camellia from the deck. Camellia can use this effect here to send a copy of Naturia Sacred Tree, and Sacred Tree will trigger to add a copy of Naturia Blessing. From here, we're going to link off our Camellia and our Jasmine to go into the new Link monster Rosemary and search for a copy of Aroma Blend. Here, we're going to use Aroma Blend, discarding our Ash Blossom or a random card in hand to place a copy of Humid Winds in our Spell and Trap zone. From here, we can use Aroma Blend to banish itself, the Rosalina and the Laurel to fusion summon a copy of the Magnolia, and then we can activate Humid Winds effect to pay 1,000 life points to add a copy of Jasmine to hand. From here, since our life points are low on our opponents, we can gain 500. This is going to trigger both our Link and our Fusion. The Fusion is going to increase our monster's attack, and the Link is going to special summon the Jasmine. From here, we can activate Naturia Blessing to bring back this copy of Camellia. We have a level 4 tuner and a level 2 non-tuner, so we can go into our copy of Sweet Marajam. On special summon or synchro summon, this is going to allow us to add another one of our traps, and we are going to add a copy of Dried Winds, and we're going to set it, and we're going to pass turn. In our opponent's turn, we are going to be able to use a few effects. So we are able to use the Ruined Winds to pay 1,000 life points to search for a copy of Angelica. This is going to allow us to gain life points in our opponent's turn. Here I used the Angelica a little bit too early. What you should really do here is use the Humid Winds effect to gain 500 life points, since it can only be activated if your life points are lower than your opponent's, and that would trigger the Sweet Marajam to pop. But here I use the Angelica, which is actually incorrect, because this actually increases our life points to 18, taking it above the threshold our opponent has, or is likely to have, to trigger the Sweet Marajam. We can also use the Fusion Monsters effect here, since we gained 1,800 life points to increase all of our guys' attack by 1,800, making our monsters 4k, 4k, and 44 respectively, and they can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which makes them very difficult to out. We flip up the Dried Winds here. This is where we would want to be using the Angelica effect, since this is a mandatory effect when you gain life points, which is quite annoying. So is the synchro. So you want to have like the synchro up but not the trap, or the trap up and not the synchro. You can use both, but you'd have to use both at the exact same time if they are both face up on the field. This is why you kind of want to have like the synchro up and use Humid Winds effect to gain 500 to trigger it to pop, and you want to have the Dried Winds up when you use the Angelica to increase your attack to 14, increase your life points by 18, increase your attack by 18, and then pop with the Dried Winds. This is not a bad board for Aroma, and the new support does help the deck actually play a little bit. I don't know if it's good enough to be played at a pure say. It almost definitely isn't. It'll probably be like tier 6, if anything. But this board is quite difficult out, and you also have just a bunch of effects going off in your next turn. Like, if they aren't able to remove your guys, you're going to have a pop with their guys in the next turn. You've got a search here, another way of gaining life points. You're going to be able to pay 2,000 and banish 2 cards, since we control 2 of the traps. And we're going to be able to tribute a monster and banish something else. There's a bunch of cards here to break a board as well. I don't think this is going to be a going second deck, because you can't really push through a board. But if you could set up with this sort of setup, with big monsters who are unaffected, essentially unaffected by card effects, and then just use their powerful effects on turn 3, you're going to be in a good position. So, lost connection. I swear this happens every video. So now that you understand what I think this deck should do, I've put the list back up here so you can have a quick look. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I really would appreciate if you could subscribe. We are so close to 500 subscribers, which is actually a pretty decent milestone. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. See you later.